All right, I believe we are live, everyone. I'm gonna check our live stream on Facebook. Louis, how are you?
I am well, Donna. It's busy season, busy time, but
Mm-hmm.
we're giving thanks and praise. And sometimes when you hear news like what you've been saying, we all have to give thanks.
Yeah.
But I want to start out this evening. I know we're doing mental health. I wanna still big up mothers. I know you are a
Mm-hmm.
mother. I didn't get the chance to big you up.
Oh,
And
thank you,
we have
thank
two
you.
other beautiful mothers here with us. And I want to say Happy Mother's Day. We want
Appreciate
to
you.
thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
We intend here on CRR Network to celebrate the life and the legacy of mothers for the rest of the month. So I'm going to play this song because mothers have given up their entire life for a lot of us. And we have not paid them back. We have not given them the due, the love that they due. Mother is priceless. So let's just listen to this song. And we do not own the rights of this song. This is for entertainment purposes. We just listen to this little African beat for a few seconds. Okay. Welcome, everybody.
All right.
Mama,
I love
Mama
it.
is the first person that you see when you were born.
Mm-hmm.
The first doctor, the first nurse, the first teacher, the first everything. And so we don't give mothers the due. And today, all our listeners from CRR Network, all our viewers from Caribbean Diaspora Vibes, wherever you are, all our panel this evening, if you're a mom, we wish you all the very best and you are priceless. Amen.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for that recognition. And yes, happy Mother's Day. Definitely a daily. The work that
Yeah.
moms and aunties and godparents and
Yes.
parents, it's a lot. And so we definitely give thanks and salute to the moms
Moms
and
everywhere.
you know, even if you did not birth a child and you're
You're still a
contributing
mom.
and
Yes.
you are a mother,
Yes. Yes.
very,
Yes. I
very
agree.
much so. So
I
thank
agree.
you, Louis, for that. Blessings,
Absolutely.
blessings. Um,
Absolutely.
Welcome everyone. My name is Donna Morton Morgan, and I am the president of Caribbean American Diaspora, president of Women of Culture, Inc., where we support women, children, and families affected by incarceration, homelessness, and trauma. Also a real estate broker, life insurance broker in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas. Mindset coach, and just love for life, love for humanity. We want to welcome you all tonight as we talk about mental health awareness, red flags for mental health awareness. We can't ignore. We should not be ignoring. Um, we should be listening. Sometimes we don't really listen properly. Sometimes
Hmm.
we're waiting to talk, so we don't really hear.
We're not listening, that's for sure. That's
Right.
for sure.
So
Too
we need
eager
to
to
sit
talk.
back. Yeah, and we need to sit back and let individuals tell us and express how they're feeling, especially our young people that sometimes will just hide behind their phones and their doors, right? And we don't know what's going on with them. But this world is definitely filled with a lot, a lot of heaviness, and it's coming from so many ways. From you do your phone, you open up your computer. I mean, it's just social media on so many levels, just feeding, going into the mind, going into the body, going into the spirit. We were talking earlier on with Jeanne was saying how, yeah, everything is energy and it's feeding in our spirit. And so sometimes when we see somebody wake up and they're just acting a certain way, and you're like, what wrong with them? You don't know how many months or years that people have been just downloading this negativity and this stress and worry about gas and food and eggs and viruses and no work and no home ownership, everything. There's so much.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a
So we
lot
gotta,
for us to
yeah,
deal with,
it's a
especially our
lot.
people. Hmm.
And if you don't have support, especially if you don't have a good support system, especially if you don't know when to pull back and unplug and protect your peace. So tonight we have two amazing women tonight that we want to have tell us about, just what to do in your own space, in your at home, at work, neighbors. What are some red flags, or and what can we do, or what should they do? What should we look out for? What are triggers? So we are blessed tonight with Gina and Moses and Stephanie. And they're going to tell you a little bit about who they are, where they're from. Heritage, we always keep the whole heritage thing.
Mhm.
Welcome,
And
ladies.
and then
Yeah.
they're going to
Of
educate
course.
us a little bit. So we always going to update onto how to unplug or how to deal with this mental distress that's happening. All right. So thank you, beautiful. Welcome, Jeanette. We'll start with you.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Donna. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Lewis. I'm Jean
Yeah.
Ann Moses. I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in Florida and a licensed professional counselor in South Carolina. I'm a grief and trauma specialist. That's my niche because everything in the world deals with grief, right? We can't have trauma without grief. And it's the way we process. And very much in the world, we don't talk about that. My name of my business is Peace from Pieces LLC, and I'm on a couple of platforms, and it's what I
Congrats.
do. I just love this field because mental health. I'm wearing green. That's why there's a green background because it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's a little bit about me. And I'm going to introduce the doctoral candidate, my peer, Stephanie Jacques. Go ahead, Steph.
Hello. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for
Welcome,
having us.
Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Donna, for having us. Thank you, GM, as well. My name is Stephanie Jacques, Haitian American, born in Haiti, raised in New York, and then Florida. Right now, I'm also a licensed mental health therapist. I work on an ICU floor at one of our local hospitals. I work with patients and our families who are dealing with some medical crisis, who are on life support, heart transplant, mostly cardiac interventions. I also teach undergraduate courses as well. That's just a little bit about me. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. We need some of that knowledge we
Mhm.
got. Very good.
Louis,
Awesome.
I don't know. Did you have your station ID? I don't
No,
remember.
not yet. Just wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Donna, for joining us this evening to another episode of Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month for this month. So we are talking to professionals about the situation that we don't talk to or deal with too much in our own community. And I think it's a good thing. So, welcome everybody as we get started this evening.
All right. So jumping into the conversation, we know we're just surrounded, we're just bombarded, not even surrounded with just problems and issues and viruses and leadership, and it's from top to bottom, left to right, north, south. There's just so much static and negativity all around us. And how do we deal with that? How do you even um, encourage people to deal with the time that we're in? And we're gonna just turn it over to y'all, because you can see, like, this is really, for me, I'm like, there's so much, because I'm seeing it. So, I mean, I have ways to handle, but when I literally just before coming on, I did see someone in one of her groups on Facebook, like looking for someone to assist in ending their lives. And this is like 15 minutes before, ago. And I'm like, wow. And this person just had enough, you know? And so I'm like, wow. And look, we're about to talk about, mental health, and because people think it's not a big deal, but we need to talk. So you ladies, just let me know what you think, or what should we be looking for if you think someone's in a mental crisis?
You can start, Steph.
Okay. Um, and I'm going to speak more of the Caribbean culture since, that's more I'm familiar with, since that's our platform. Especially in our Haitian culture, it's so interesting because we're taught to be strong, resilient, faithful. We carry generations of survival, sacrifice, and, perseverance, but sometimes in the process of surviving, we forget to care for our own emotional and mental health being. Um, some of the stresses I believe in the Caribbean community, definitely immigration has been a big one. Financial pressure and responsibility. Um, I know for me, growing up in a Haitian household, sending money back home is also a big deal as well. There's also caregiver burnout, having to care for others. There's also generational expectations, trauma from political instability, and also the pressure to make it, in our Caribbean culture. And I also see medical and healthcare disabilities. There's also racism, discrimination as well, that we see in our Caribbean culture. One of the things that I love is that even though we are built to be resilient, doesn't mean that we don't seek out mental health support. So one of the red flags that I always see, especially when it comes to like physical red flags, headaches, fatigue, body pains, tension. How many times do we say, my head hurt, my back hurt, And I always tell people the very thing you don't deal with emotionally, you will deal with physically. And that comes up all the time. How many
Very
times do
good.
people said, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and not just physical exhaustion, but also emotional, them having to care for others, neglecting themselves, them crying alone in private. So that way people don't see that, feeling ashamed while struggling with emotionally. And those are some of the red flags that I see. But despite all of this, despite these hardships, our Caribbean culture is rooted in resilience, faith, family, and community. And these are the same strengths as well that can be healing and provide emotional wellness as well.
Yeah.
That was great. Sorry, go ahead, Donna.
No, the Caribbean culture is definitely, I think there's a slow rise in acceptance, but I know we've got a lot of work to do. Um, and if someone tells us early that they need therapy, let's not laugh at them and,
Absolutely.
just pray about it or just go to the pastor. Let's seek professional help.
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially I will speak for the Haitian culture, working in a psych unit for over 10 years, when I would get, families and patients who would come in and they don't know what's going on with their loved ones, the first thing they said, "Oh, somebody put this stuff on them." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, they're just mad." But in reality, that person is struggling, and they're trying to reach out for help, and we kind of shame them. But what I am seeing is that we're starting to normalize mental health. We're starting to say, instead of my nerves bad, I have anxiety, I'm
Mhm. Mhm.
anxious, I'm tired, and I think a lot of people, of course, we still have a lot of work to do, but the language is coming,
Mhm.
it's starting to, that stigma that's been surrounding that, we're starting to stop that stigma and allow people, to get the help that they need, because you can still have a faith leader, a prayer, and you could still have a therapist too. I tell you, you can have all of that all in one, because we
Right.
need it all. And just like how we care for our bodies, if we have a headache, we take an Excedrin, a Tylenol, or we have high blood pressure, we visit the doctor's office. Why
Mhm.
can't we do the same for our emotional health as well?
But you have to be able to allow to know that you have it, right? Because the
Absolutely.
conversation doesn't. And a lot of times women are easier for women to do it and women to talk about it. But a lot of times we miss the men in our culture. And we've
Mm-hmm.
been seeing a lot of incidents of domestic violence. And the reason is that the man has been taught to carry the stress, right? Allegedly, that he has to be the stronger one. And no one looks at them. You think that he's just angry,
Mm-hmm.
right? But no one, he's going through depression,
Right.
that the struggles of the work, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
facing a lot. We don't want to talk about the elephants in the room, but all this dismantling in this country with DEI and things like that has created a lot of issues in homes. And so not being able to function and be able to discuss what's going on has caused a lot of stresses. So relationships aren't talked about. Men aren't given the same permission as women have felt to talk together, to be able to speak what they need to speak. Because you
Mm-hmm.
just think he's an angry man, but maybe
Right.
he needs to go to the doctor. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
something has happened. You don't realize it's a trigger for him in his life, right? And you just discount it. And so one of the things that I think we really need to do a lot of work with is our men, because
Mm-hmm.
women go to women, but men don't get the support. And a lot of the things is that we follow the energy and the direction of the men. Even though we say we don't have the man in the house, he runs because no one sees him,
Right. Right.
right? And the same things that happen with our children. We're told to sit in place. The mother does everything. She takes care of the home, even though everybody's outside working, but we're not listening. We're missing the signs of the child is playing games all the time, or the child is in their room, or they're just being whatever because of the shift in culture. That child is suffering with depression.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand why our children are dying by suicide, because we don't want to address the depression in the room. We don't want to address the grief that we're going through. The things that have been happening in this country lately, and post COVID specifically, we are struggling because we don't have community.
Mm-hmm.
We talk community, but we're
Mm.
not really interacting as community.
Yeah, we don't live it. We don't live it.
No.
We talk
No.
And
it,
it's
but we
not
don't live
just and it's not just in America,
it. Mm.
right?
Everywhere.
Like my mother's from the islands, was from the islands of Vincent. My father was from the island from Barbados, and I'm from the capital of the Caribbean, Brooklyn originally, but I've lived in Florida a long time. However, even within our community, as we're talking with each other, we don't still have that.
Mhm.
I made a joke with Stephanie, but it really wasn't a joke. And we don't have the elders are not uplifting the youngers. So they
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
don't have the respect and the honor that family has. It's time for us to go back to that place,
Yeah.
to give them permission to talk, to give our men permission to congregate again. It's more than just the dominoes. It was to be able to exhale, I believe in mental health, but we don't make it viable. We have employee assistance program where no one knows your business.
Right.
Right? That you can get help. Or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need medication. Yes, you want
Absolutely.
to smoke marijuana, but if you notice there's no seed, so there's a lot more anger. I'm not disputing that. But if there's a way that medicine helps. It's like we take for diabetes and
Mm-hmm.
high blood pressure and cholesterol. Sometimes it's not a forever thing,
Right.
but it's something to give your brain a rest, because that's what controls our body, is our brain. And sometimes the brain needs a rest.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of those coping strategies, faith and spiritual connection, going back to our roots, it is the strongest source of in our Caribbean communities, prayer, worship, um, spiritual reflection, gratitude practices. What Miss Jan was talking about, that community in connection, talking to family, friends, your therapist, get a therapist. Healing often happens in connection, not isolation. There's no healing in isolation. um, Music, we love music. There's something about movement and creativity. It reduces stress and improve mood. Resting, we are taught that if you rest, you're not working. And getting enough sleep, oh my goodness, that is the
Very
big trigger.
important. Yes, very important.
Yes, I've seen lack of sleep causes individuals to go through psychosis. Psychosis, where I did an evaluation one time and they had no pre-existing medical conditions. They're in their late 30s, so I already know schizophrenia is not really prominent around that age. And then the family said that they have not slept in 3 days. 3 days. And now they're up talking to themselves, having a whole brief psychotic disorder because of lack of sleep, allowing yourself to take breaks, setting boundaries, saying, not today, Miss Jean, I can't cook. I can't cook that rice today. I got to get some sleep, find somebody else to do it. Talking about our emotions, normalizing it, saying, I'm tired. These kids are getting on my nerves. This job is getting on my nerves. Being able to have an outlet that's free of judgment. And also the most important is physical self-care. Something we neglect a lot is our physical self-care. So these are some of the strategies that can help, but most important, get a therapist.
Yeah, I like, guys, I like from both of you, I like the idea of the community togetherness,
Yes.
coming together as community. Because when you do that, you are sharing, you are speaking, you're touching, you're going back home, even though you're not home, because you're tasting of the culture that you left back home. I
Yeah.
also like the idea of going back home. That's definitely a good therapist way to
Mhm.
reclaim yourself and rekindle with the culture and the nature that we have there. So two of them is important because not all of us get to go back home as often as we
Yeah.
wish. So when you find your community here in the United States in the diaspora, it's very important that you mingle,
Yeah.
you get out and you get to know and you be a part of it. And by that, you don't get the chance to think too much about the negatives that are going in your life, because this country that we live in, most of us come here sober, good, with great health. Within 7 to 9 years, we all messed up.
Mhm.
We all messed up with some form of medical or, as you know, mental situation because of the pressure. This is a pressuring place to live, and
Mhm.
if you're not doing and on your game, you can get behind, and that cause mental problems with a lot of us because we always want to keep up. But if we're not, especially with how things are going now, you're not sure if you're driving down the road and your tail light, somebody gonna pull you over. So you think about it all. You drive for 3 hours and all you're thinking of is the police in the back of your head.
Mm-hmm.
is ice somewhere. You pull up at your store to get something, some coconut and some breadfruit and banana, and all you think is that ice is going to be out there. And so it's a mental situation where this totally is. But guys, how do we overcome these things? What is it? Because we know the problem. What is it that you guys would recommend in your field, in what you're doing, what it is that we can do to prevent some of these things as we go through it? Because as far as we know, Donna, things is going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they definitely we didn't even add the whole immigration piece
Yeah.
as the extra stress that's happening for a lot of people. You know, not everyone is a citizen. Many people have been here and are residents and are wondering. And not to say even being a citizen is these days is a guarantee for anything. But um, one thing I know that I think studies are coming out, and Stephanie touched on it too, and Jeanette, is sleep. We've been in a culture where it's team no sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and or people in, you know, working two jobs, so they're barely getting sleep and not realizing that that's nature. And so we're going against nature when we do that, right? And a lot of this, you know, what we're seeing is starting there. Like you mentioned, sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like but look what you said can happen with someone that didn't sleep in a couple hours, couple days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will add one more thing when you know when it comes to the community and Donna, and you know, thank you for the work that you do in the community, because one thing I notice, it's hard to tell someone to go seek therapy when they're having financial problems, when they can't eat, when they can't do all these things. So that's why the community involvement is so important, because if I can release some of those psychosocial stressors that you're dealing with, maybe with that I can encourage you to go see a therapist and start healing from these other things. But how can we start that when some of those stressors are so in your face and you need like help right now? So that's why it's so important to have a community that says, you know what? So I think so and so is having some type of food bank, or they're helping out financially, or if you go over here, they can help you apply for this. Because if we can take some of that stress away, maybe people will be more open to seek mental health therapy as well, because they don't, because you know, for them it's like that's not a priority. You know, these things are a priority. But if the community can come in and help as well, it makes a really big difference. So thank you for the work that you do, Donna, in the community.
Thank you. It's definitely,
Absolutely.
and that's why we've been doing this. Lois and I, we've had this right before COVID started, Lois. This was
Yes. Hmm.
um January, I think,
It's been a
2020.
while. It's been a while.
Yeah. So it definitely has been a
Been-
process, and we give back, well, thanks to individuals like you. We couldn't do it without
Of
the
course.
professionals like yourself that just say yes to, thank God, you know, we kept it virtual because it's so easy, like you said, wherever you're at to jump on. But we've given some really amazing information on health, wellness, home ownership, etc. And so we are blessed to have you all in our lives, in our spaces that we can connect and reach out. So, but it does take a village. It
You
Yes.
know, a lot of things there's one of the things you talk about that when you're not sleeping, I'm just going back. It's writing. You know, keep a notepad by your bed.
Mhm.
Sometimes, and you know, a lot of things we have on our phone, everybody puts down Chat GPT and AI and all those things. But you know, they have so many things we can record on now, right?
Mhm.
Speak it. Sometimes you have to just get it out of your system to hear it. One things I love about chat, just say, you could say, don't give me any answers. I just need to speak. And
Mhm.
sometimes when you speak, You release the stress. You get rid of the resentments, right? It's about saying, I need to release, I'm resentful about a lot of these things, right? Understanding that you left your country to come to this country and you've worked very hard, and so you're resentful. So you need to get rid of it. So as you speak it, you're shifting your conversation, you're reframing. Because the truth of the matter is, sometimes you're just at the mercy of what is, and that's the truth. We don't like to say those things.
Right.
However, walk with your documentation. That is the truth. Have multiple forms of your documentation with you. That's
That
the
is real.
truth,
That is real. Yeah.
right? But you write it out, you speak it out, there's a reason they have 360 on your phones. You don't want anybody to know where you're going, but in this season, you have to, because it's about your peace and it's about your truth. It is about the past. They say the past is the present. That's the truth. With the advancement of technology, now you can see where your people are.
Absolutely.
The ships are right here. They're called cars. We don't like to speak like that because it sounds harsh. It's not being unkind. And then we educate our children that way. I'm an American. I was born here. But I walk with my ID card, my passport card, and my license. Because it doesn't matter.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right? So,
They can
but
pull you over anything.
in this place of saying the stressors is start just writing it out. Get it out of your system. Because it helps you to release. Because once we keep it in our mind, we ruminate. It keeps going on and on and on. We can't change that. But if we get it out, at least you can sleep, even if it's 10 minutes. Take a cat nap. Sleeping is not laziness. Remember as a child, they'd tell you, you're so lazy. Why are you not up at 5 o'clock in the morning? I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Sleep is essential for functioning so that the brain can rest, which carries the body. The brain is mental health, and the brain controls the body, not the heart. The brain tells the heart to work.
Right.
So if the brain is not rested, nothing else can work.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. Good talk. I want to, guys, education. You touched on it just now, my dear. But education is. Do you think that is what we're lacking? We're not seeing any of our pastors of a church talking about this on the pulpit. The church is where we grew up. We came from. That was the institution for us to go and to hear all manner of things that affecting us in our community. We don't hear even the politicians mention it. Of course, that's not going to be a very welcoming thing or popular thing amongst them. But are we missing education about this particular problem that we're having?
Absolutely. You nailed it. You said it. Our leaders, our faith leaders, it's taboo, talking about mental health. It's like as if it's a curse word, like don't say
Yeah.
that. No, that
Yeah.
means that they're crazy. That means they're mad, because we're not meant to have depression or anxiety. But you're right, lack of knowledge and education. Even though I have seen many faith leaders who are talking about this now, who are noticing that when their members are not coming anymore, it's not because, that they just don't want to be there. It's because they're struggling, so, there's that lack of education, I believe, is starting to shift a little bit, but you nailed it. It is definitely lack of knowledge, but hopefully we are starting to open this conversation, which I'm grateful for, moments like this where mental health awareness month as well, where people are starting to be more open about not only their mental health issues but also other people that they know, so that you nailed it.
Right.
Lack of
I
knowledge.
think I think what it is with the church too and mental health is if you are saved, then why are you sick?
Because you're
Right.
perfect.
So
Right. You
people
should be
feel
perfect. You should be
right.
perfect.
So then people hide it. because they're
Mm-hmm.
saying I'm saved from everything, right?
Yes.
So so then I can't go and tell my pastor or my friend or, that I am stressed and I'm depressed because
Mhm.
I got saved. And
Right.
Right.
so
And it's
that's,
shame,
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. So, and I always write about, because I write every day, um, that says, why are you sad, stressed, and saved? It does not, so people have to start to understand that mental health or and energy and vibrations and consciousness, there's a whole nother language, there's a whole nother part of nature that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with religion. And
Correct.
so we need to understand that we need to embrace nature. We need to breathe in yoga,
Mm-hmm.
stretching, mindfulness, journaling,
Yeah,
gratitude. These are all speaking, going to your therapist and releasing that negative energy out
absolutely.
of the body. So what is stress? Stress is just energy contained in year after year. Our Caribbean people don't forgive, even though they are in the
Mm.
church.
Mm.
So that's another thing. They will go 30, 40, 50 years without speaking to their brother, their
Mm.
sister, their,
A
you
true and
know,
true yeah talk, man. A true.
they
Mhm.
don't forgive. And
No.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
carry all that and you're walking around with stress every day. You don't believe, you've been told also by the church not to do yoga, right? Which
Because it's
is
old, yeah.
because it's just a stretching and the pose that you
Yeah.
stretch in is inviting the devil. You've been
Mm-hmm.
told not to connect with your mind, right?
Yeah.
Because you might instigate or call on the devil or something. So you're told to stay away from the mind
Yeah. Yep.
and all these
What it
things that are holistic.
Mm-hmm.
but we call it holistic. But here's the interesting thing. There's a scripture I love. I don't know the verse, but God forgive me if there's a preacher out there. If you want to go Bible, he says, "Everything in heaven and earth is yours, O Lord, and this is your kingdom." So
Mm.
therefore, if you go to a doctor, God gave us knowledge, right?
Yes.
Because this is His world. And so, therefore, if you can go to a doctor, you can go to a surgeon. I say to people, so when you go to the dentist or you have surgery, you have it without medication? They're like, no. I said, but you do. They're like, no. Correct. Because God gave instruction and direction for us to learn to be able to heal. So you
Right.
can't pick and choose, right? And here's the other thing. There's a thing called HIPAA. And everybody
Mm-hmm.
doesn't tell you everybody their business. I'm going to say this, okay? Because I'm politically incorrect and I go there. We have a culture that is so perfect, but we're the most sexual. Do you ever see how we dance? Do you ever see
Mm-hmm.
Carnival? Do you
Mm-hmm.
see that? Do you see the behavior? But we condemn everything.
Mm.
Mm.
But the vulgarity is a real thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's nothing wrong with it. But we want to hide everything. And so no one needs to know if you go to the doctor. Because you don't tell, because half the time we don't even know what's wrong in our family. So why they need to know if you went to the psychiatrist or the psychologist? Nobody
Mm-hmm.
knows when you had your children or who you with or what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with your mental health and your physical health. If you can keep a secret, that one gives you freedom from your secrets.
Mm. That's
I tell
true.
people dementia comes from secrets.
Mm.
And what it does, yeah, I'm not saying it clinically, but I'm saying when you have dementia, you have no more secrets because you tell it all.
You tell it all.
Mm.
Mm. Good,
You
Yeah.
good
do.
talk. Good talk. A
I have
true,
been
a true.
around
Good
and
talk.
my mom that raised me and when I tell you the woman just start stuff from 40 years she started
Mm-hmm.
just rattling off. Just
Mm-hmm.
laugh. I'm like, "Oh my God." So yeah, there's no hold. You just release
Yeah.
it. So we have to embrace mental health and we have to know that there's a part there that it's okay.
Yeah.
And especially because we have to say especially in the church, because really the church is a big holder on all angles. There's too many mental and physically sick people in churches.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mental and physical,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Diabetes, everything is high. So we can't just be about God's kingdom in the next life and your kingdom right here. You're not you're not looking at your body as a
Not your
kingdom,
body.
as a vessel, as a temple. So I think we have to rein it in with on a few different levels on mental and physical when it comes to the
Mm.
church, and know that there is a place, that, and but definitely seek out a therapist, someone that you kind of just vibe with, talk about whatever's going on, especially men. Like Jean said, men don't talk. Women, we've got a sister girlfriend, we've got somebody that we
Mhm.
can kind of talk about, what's going on. But men, so as we do see this rise, we kind of have to look back at it too and say, hey, what is going on?
Yeah.
That man is not talking. He doesn't have men don't deal with like the sisterhood that we have. We have women empowerment every single day. We're not seeing the men empowerment. I try to make my pictures with men, but mostly I still deal with women, but it's for everybody. But yeah, so that part is definitely lacking. The stress of on all levels,
Yeah.
health, just living, just surviving in this country or wherever you live, because it's affecting it. Whatever happens in the US trickles everywhere, right? Um,
Mhm.
community, community, culture,
Mhm.
get out in nature, get your sleep, get your exercise, and kind of like a holistic, a wraparound service
Mhm.
that we need.
Yeah. It's the whole person.
Yeah. Tell us, ladies, how can, if someone, do you guys take like private patients if someone's looking to connect?
I do.
Yeah.
Private
Miss
practice.
Jean
You do
does.
too. And we also have, and for people who don't have insurance, Stephanie's on the board of a company called LBJ Behavioral
Mhm.
Services. And in Orange County, that's able to help support families that don't have insurance. And so it's through a grant to the state, through the county, so we're able to help. Dr. Leticia Brown James is the founder, and she has Victorious Living. I do take Medicare and Medicaid with the company with Growth Therapy and Tava, but I'm able to do it as well and do private pay. And you work with people, but there is help out there for you, right? There's a lot of help. There's a lot of assistance in the streets. And if you reach out, there's always someone who's able to connect you with the right
Yep.
person that's going to give you assistance. In Seminole County, we now have that new free, I can't remember,
Outlook.
space.
The outlook.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
then if you need help, like there's the Shared Center, the Acceleration Church, Dr. Pastor Takoa, she's the head of the Sharing Center, because people are needing food. JFS, Jewish Family Services on Lee Road here, if you're in an Orlando market, they give
Mhm.
people food and diapers and things like that we need, right? Um, Reach out, find a social, even if so, look for a clinical social worker, find a mental health person, pick up the phone and ask.
Mm.
Right.
We
On
have
social
not because we
media.
ask not.
Absolutely. Join a Facebook groups. I've joined so many Facebook groups and I've forwarded things to people and they have community events all the time. And that is a great way because we're on our phones anyways. So social media is a
What's
great
your
outlet
what's your
today.
phone number, Jean Ann, if someone needs to reach out to you or your
My
business?
number is 407-850-8320. And I answer my phone all the time. Doesn't matter. And you can call me anytime. Unfortunately, I'm that person because I
Mhm.
understand. Because sometimes it's about fear, right? And
Mhm.
and we have Zoom, and with telehealth, you don't have to go into an office.
Right,
So
right.
there's not an excuse. I can't get out the house. You can stay right there. I have people sometimes they're in their bed. Yes, they get dressed, but you can talk anywhere, anyhow.
Absolutely.
Yes. You're based in Orlando, correct?
But I can do anywhere because
Anyway,
I'm telehealth. So any place in the state,
anyway,
any place in, yeah. hmm And
that's
by the way,
awesome.
we keep talking about everything. The one thing we didn't talk about that I live for, Lewis mentioned a little bit. You remember how we used to have potlucks and not potlucks, we don't do potlucks, but eating our food. Some
Yeah,
good
Oh, yes.
provisions and some fish. Like
yeah.
community eating is what we no longer do.
Mhm,
I always see Donna and she's always eating and
mhm,
doing community with food and her family. That's the one thing I see. Your family's just, it expands, but you're always giving back. And that's the stuff I miss. The
Amen.
sense of family and community and eating
Community.
is everything because
Eating is.
that's.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Just
some good
find a
fish
group.
fry. Yeah,
Yeah.
fish fry on Fridays with in Winter Garden, Caribbean Sunshine Bakery. You gotta.
Yeah.
I'll share it
Mm.
the next time. But we're into
Please.
the season too, where there's a lot going on and lots of cultural events
Yeah.
um, going on. Stephanie, you don't do private, right? You work
I
with.
don't.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
okay, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that is it for us. We are so grateful, Louis. Unless you have any last words.
No, just really everybody out there, men, women, all of us that are listening through this medium tonight, wherever you are, let's treat our temple right. Let's recognize that this body here that we have, take it serious and know that this is the temple of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And He needs your body, He needs it to function. And we have to wake up now and understand that we have to take care of this. We can't wait on the government for us to take care of ourselves. As the young lady said, sleep right. And yeah, we're gonna sleep, but we also need to have the education and the understanding that there are certain time of the night that we must sleep. We can't continue to go to bed and we stay up all night thinking about the bills and everything, and we go to
Mhm.
bed 1 o'clock every night. Those are past your repairing time. Your body repairs itself, but it starts early in the night. In the night. So if you can start adjust yourself, it's about adjustment now because we have gone through so many things that delete who we are and our energy and how we're supposed to live, and the doctors and some of the lawyers or whoever that's supposed to teach us and the preachers, they're about money. They're all about money. We have to get that in our head. It's all about making as much money and patch up ourselves. That's what they do. They give us medicine to patch ourselves. We have to now get into our community, eat right,
Mhm.
stop the foolishness about ourselves, make sure we have a good, sound mind. If we don't have a good, sound mind, we're going to be wasted away because we can't control anything else after that. The mind is everything. As Ms. Dinan said, listen, it's not the heart that tells the brain to function, it's the brain that tells the heart and every organ in our body what to do. So
Yes.
we have to take care of ourselves, people. Very important. Let's try and take care of the temple. The moment you realize that you have a temple, this body is a temple, our mindset will change. So I pray that we have open minds, open heart, and we start to take care of one another.
Yes, and I'll add to that, Lois. I think people also need to start to realize that this earth is a beautiful earth.
Oh, yes.
This one that we live in. And because if you're thinking all the time, like, this is a wicked place, and you can't wait for God to come to take you to that good place, because but this place, so now
Shout to
you have
you.
this in your spirit that this place is a bad, wicked place, and that is
Yeah,
not good.
no, it is not.
That's not a good consciousness to have, because now you're
Very good
holding
point.
that energy into your spirit. So
Yes,
we need to
very good.
release that. We need to again understand that yes, this is our temple. And so we
Yes.
must honor it and we must respect it, learn about it, get into your healthier eating, right? Do some intermittent fasting throughout the day. Get some walks in, some exercise, some journaling, some deep breathing, some stretching, some community, some hugs, some therapy, all of that.
All of that.
And include your prayer, whatever your prayer life is. But it needs to be a wraparound service. You live
Amen.
on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful earth. Don't let
Yep.
anyone tell you you do not. This is God's earth
Creation.
right here, God's creation. We need to stop thinking that the next one is going to be beautiful. This one is beautiful and spectacular. And you were made wonderfully and you're wonderfully and perfectly made. So all these
Mhm.
things clog our minds because we think that we're living in some infested place. So we kind of need like a whole clean up
Mindset.
like this.
Reset. Reset.
Reset,
We need a
a
reset.
clear, a reset of
But
everything. So
these are the shows that will help to reset the mind of individuals. So, you
yes,
know, when we meet like this and we brainstorm and we bring the professionals together and speak, we're hoping that our listeners and our viewers will take something from what we have said this evening.
yes. Be sure to follow us on Caribbean American Diaspora on Facebook and Instagram, and also Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network and Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. That is it for tonight. We give thanks and praise for life, love, liberty, community, culture. Until next time, God bless. Good night, everyone.
All right. Thank you all. Keep it locked right here on CRR FM. Coming up next, we're going to have our ball talk with Christopher Gryan. Keep it locked on CRRFM.com.